the game plan went completely out the window. I didn't listen to Roger, what we was working on for the 6 weeks. I didn't do any of it. But sometimes you have to make it into a dogfight. Sometimes the game plan does go out the window and you just have to do what you have to do to win.
What did you take from that performance in? What did you do differently?
My Uncle John was British light heavyweight champion back in the 70s. Beat Chris Finnegan, who was an Olympic gold medalist. So it's all started from there, to be honest. And my dad was a good fighter. My Uncle Bobby was a very, very good fighter. My Uncle Tommy was a pro. They're all like my dad's brothers, so it was always going to be boxing for me.
What was it like growing up in that boxing family?
The second fight was on the Brian Joyce card, finally. That was a good experience. That was in London. That was in literally on the Houses of Parliament.
You don't get a coach tell you what to do.
Like when I was with Sugar again, like he said, go to your right, and it was so uncomfortable for me to go to my right because naturally you go left. Mm-hmm. He said, I'd see that, and we'd make you go right. You know what I mean? And you just think, fucking hell.
That's because I'm southpaw. I really struggle going left. I can only really go right.
But then fighters over there know how to go left, right, back, forward. They can spin on a dime, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they're so in front of us at the minute.
So what did he get you doing to get you moving a bit more?
I didn't do enough with him.
No.
But at the time we was doing a lot of drills, just footwork. I only spent a couple of hours there that day. I was in Miami. But it opened your eyes, you know?
Yeah, and when was that?
That was a couple of Christmases ago, not last year before, yeah.
So, obviously, you've just taken on a big 50-50 fight and got the win. What made you take that risk early on in your career, first of all?
The fight was offered to us, and obviously I fight anyone, you know, I'm game. And so was George Davey, he was game. So it was a good fight at this stage. Listen, I would have loved it. It should have been for a title, it deserved to be for a title. But I just think we needed a step up. You can fight these journeymen, and no disrespect to them, they're tough fighters, but they don't bring the best out of you. You know what I mean? Sometimes they can bring you down to their level, you know what I mean? No disrespect. So I think I needed you need a dancing partner in boxing, and he was perfect one at this time. So we was both similar, 8-0 at the time. So it was a good fight, and it proved to be a good fight.
So when you got the news and you took the fight, what was the plan from going from fighting journeyman to now a live fighter that's coming to win? Did it change a lot?
Not much, really, no, because you're having good sparring. So whenever you're sparring decent fighters. Like this camp I was sparring good Southern Area champions, English champions, good level fighters who was coming to take your head off. So the game plan went completely out the window. I didn't listen to Roger, what we was working on for the 6 weeks. I didn't do any of it. But sometimes you have to make it into a dogfight. Sometimes the game plan does go out the window and you just have to do what you have to do to win. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
So it still wasn't my best performance, and I know that, but I had to do what I had to do to get a win.
What did you take from that performance in? What did you do differently?
It depends with each fighter you're fighting. George Davey was slick. He was real good head movement. He was hard to pin down. Maybe if I would have started off from the first round, how I finished the last, I might have got him out of there maybe. I don't know, but he was a good opponent. He was a good fighter.
Yeah, well, it was so evenly matched. It was pretty back and forth, yeah. And I think from a boxing stand, that's what we need. From a standpoint, it's what we're
Definitely.
lacking as a country.
I think a lot of fighters should be doing this now. They should be doing these 50-50 fights early on. You know what I mean? Like a lot of fighters under Queensberry are the same sort of thing. Who's 8 or 9-0, still fighting journeyman. They should chuck them in. They should do a free for all. You know what I mean? An all for all battle, because that's what you see. You see them kind of fights, and that's what you're in boxing for.
Yeah, definitely.
To have them sort of fights and to progress.
And you said, so you've had a recent change of coach, is that right?
Change of coach, yeah. I've just moved with Roger Lee, who's brother of the middleweight champion Andy Lee. Real good coach. You know, I get on with him well. I've done a little bit of training with him probably 5-6 years ago. He used to work under Adam Booth. So when I used to go up there sparring, I was doing some pads with him, and I always knew Roger, and he's a nice guy and real good coach. He doesn't have a lot of fighters, so he isn't getting the recognition that he deserves, but he will do, because he's a very good coach.
That's good. Well, at least it gives you more time with him as well. Definitely. Compared to other coaches that are sort of highly strung. Definitely.
He's a good coach. He spent a lot of time with Emmanuel Stewart a few years ago, obviously with his brother Andy. Spent a lot of time with Adam Booth, I just said, so he's good knowledge.
Yeah.
Good knowledge.
My name is Dennis McCann, professional boxer for Frank Moore and MTK Global. This is Fortress Boxing. A lot more protection, it's a no-brainer. Around your thumbs, around your knuckles, around your wrist. That's exactly where the problems are. They're very compact, so I feel like I'm punching hard with them on as well. And I feel like when you got sparring 14, 16 ounce gloves, the smaller wraps can't really, they're too small for the gloves, that makes sense. So these are a bit bigger and they're getting the gloves a bit more, they're making them more compact.
And I'm guessing you've been boxing since early?
I've been boxing since probably 10 years old. 10, 11 years old, yeah. But I was, to be honest with you, I only got into boxing because I was fat. I was overweight. Little chubby kid, used to love eating. Used to save up coins for Dominoes. I'd have a little coin box and somehow I'd always have a Dominoes in it. You know what I mean? I'd always count out the coins and have 20 quid spare for Dominoes. My mum would leave, she'd go shopping. I'd think, right, I'll get a Dominoes. Supposed to be on a diet, but I'd be ringing up, getting Dominoes sent in. So I was a little fat kid and went to the gym and just loved it. Always loved boxing. Loved Rocky from a young age. Only shots I knew how to throw was a hook. Just a little short, chubby, fat kid throwing hooks. So that's what got me into boxing. And then I never actually had my first fight until I was probably 12.
Okay. And what gym was you at?
When I first started, there was a gym called Tadley out near Basingstoke where my uncle trained me. And I ended up moving to Pinewood for a little bit. Didn't do too well as a schoolboy. Packed up for a year, come back as a junior. And then from then, I got to every national final up to I was just 18. So I'd done pretty good as a junior, as a youth, you know.
Yeah, brilliant. And what happened when you turned 18?
I was going to go in the seniors. I was out in Marbella with Tyson doing a little bit. It was his comeback. He was just on the road to getting back. And he said to me, listen, I wouldn't bother with the seniors. I'd probably turn pro. So that's from when I was 18, I just focused on turning professional. Spent a couple of years training, doing a little bit with Ben Davison and, like I said, Roger Lee, and doing a few things with other trainers. And I finally found Wayne when I was just becoming 20. It was just before COVID. Trained with him for a good 6-7 months. And then debut was meant to happen on the Dubois and Joyce undercard. Mm-hmm. Obviously, COVID come and it pushed it back. So, yeah, it's gone quick. It's gone quick. That 3 years has just flew by.
Yeah, I can imagine. So when did you actually turn pro? When did you get your license?
I was 20. It was 2020, February. I was on the Dubois and Joyce undercard, meant to be at the O2. I think it was April it was meant to be. Mm-hmm. And obviously it got all cancelled. I never actually had my debut till 12th of September that year.
Okay.
Behind closed doors.
Yeah, how was that?
It was a funny feeling. I never want to do it again because it was empty, you know? It was empty. I think I had my dad was allowed in there and that was it. Mm-hmm. And it was more like a spa. It was a real eerie feeling. Do you know, have you ever been in the gym and there's been sparring and it's been dead quiet, no music, nothing, and all you can hear is the breathing and the punches? Yeah. That's what it was like. Like you could even hear the other corner's instructions. It was a funny feeling.
That is weird. Yeah, it was a weird time watching it live too, because like you said, like for a casual fan that don't understand just how hard you're punching and the sound of the gloves and everything, when it was that quiet, it was a bit eerie. It was a
weird feeling. It was a weird feeling. And then they started letting a few more in. Like by my third fight, the second fight was on the Dubois and Joyce card finally. That was a good experience. That was in London. That was in literally on the Houses of Parliament. It was a place called Church House. It was attached to the House of Parliament. So that was pretty cool. Wow. And then I finally had my third fight. It was the last one without fans, but I was allowed a few more in than usual. So I had a little bit of cheering, but nothing like I usually have. Yeah. And then when the fans come back...
The real debut was in the Copper Box. It was my first stoppage. I think I'd done over 150 tickets. So it was a real good night for me. And who was that against?
A Croatian. Mm-hmm. A Croatian. He was a decent fighter, but he was tough. I stopped him in the third, I think it was. But that was a real good night because that was like my proper debut. Yeah, brilliant. Well, I know that COVID, a lot of people sort of was on the back burner. A lot of people ballooned up in weight. Did it affect you mentally? Did it affect you with your actual training or anything? I train every day anyway. So COVID, we had real good weather, if you remember. I was in Australia at the time. Was you? Yeah. Well, you had good weather anyway. We had real good weather, and me and my brother, we were just training every day. I was lucky to have a little bit of equipment, some weights. I had a boxing bag. So we was going running and biking and training every day. I was in good shape in the lockdown. So it was actually not too bad for you. It wasn't too bad for me because I knew the debut was coming at some point. So I kept myself fit, and then by August, they said obviously it was going to be September. So I had about 5 weeks to get ready, which I was already in good shape anyway. So it wasn't too bad for me, COVID.
And how did you find the whole ticket selling, the whole professional game? Obviously, it's a bit different to the amateurs where you just turn up on a Saturday, box for 3 rounds and go home.
It's a complete different ball game. It's a business. Boxing is a business. You don't really realise that before you turn pro. You just think it's all not fun and games, but you just think it's like the amateurs, you know. But it's not. It's a complete different ball game. It's a business. You know, you have to sell tickets. You have to sell yourself. You have to do your social media. You have to do literally everything. So it's a complete different ball game.
Yeah. Have you got quite a big following from the start?
I've always done a few tickets. Listen, I haven't done a lot 400 and 500s, but I've always done 100, 150, 200 tickets. So I can't thank all my fans enough. And it's good to have them to come and support. Like the last fight, there was probably, I'd say I bet there was 200 people there, all for me. After my fight, your call sort of emptied. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it did.
Yeah, it emptied. So I'm just glad and thankful that they all come and support.
Yeah, and obviously now you've had this step up,
yeah.
It's only going to get bigger and bigger and spiral as well.
Like my following's gone up, and I've had so many people messaging me, oh, what a fight, and all over Twitter, and I was everywhere. So it's good. It's only getting better.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you think's next for you? What is the plan over the next few years?
I haven't actually talked about it to my trainer and my team yet. I'd like to fight for a title next. Which one, I don't know. But any sort of title would be nice. So we're just going to push towards that, I think. Whether it be Southern Area, English, Commonwealth, something like that, or an international title. I want a title. So.
Are you already training for the 10, 12 rounders comfortably?
Yeah, well, that was my first 8 rounder. I think I handled it pretty well. I was coming on stronger. I was getting on top of Davey in the end. So I think I'm the sort of fighter who does get better as you go along. So I shouldn't find them too hard, to be honest.
Brilliant. So how many fights do you have in an amateur?
I ended up having 36. So 36 or 37. I lost 6 of them. I won
That's really good.
4 national titles, boxed for England 3 times. So I done all right as a. I was more better off as a youth, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Like my most success came as a youth. I won probably the biggest thing I won was the Youth 3 Nations. I beat Mark Dickinson in the final.
Oh,
he was a brilliant fighter.
Yeah.
We had 2 good fights back to back. He done me the first one. I done him the second. So he was a good fighter. So that was probably my biggest win as an amateur.
And what was your style like in the amateurs?
Same sort of thing as today. Come forward, pressure. I was always fit as an amateur, so I'd always get on top. So I was always suited for the pro game. But yeah, that was sort of my style. Come forward, pressure, fire.
Did you find it hard that obviously where it's only 3 rounds and you're coming on strong late, that by the time you start getting your momentum, it's over?
9 times out of 10, I used to lose the first round as an amateur. Always, I'd always start slow. And you seen the other day, I started slow. The first 2 rounds, I probably lost. The first, second was close. I always warm into it. So the longer the rounds, the better the rounds is probably going to suit me more.
Yeah, definitely. And what was your training like back then as an amateur to get to the England team? Because there are amateur boxers that are listening. What was you doing? Just being consistent, or?
My training, we had a good gym at the time, the Ring Boxing Club. It was run by my Uncle John, Uncle Lee. There was a few good coaches down there. We was one of the only clubs to do this. We put 5 boys in the junior ABA final. In the junior ABA, sorry. And we had 6 in the final. Work that one out. 5 and 6 in the final.
What, in your gym?
Yeah.
Wow.
Never been done before.
Yeah.
And you're probably thinking, how's he got 5 in there? But they had 6 in the final. A guy joined us halfway through.
Uh-huh.
So then we only put 5 in, but he joined us halfway through. So we had 6 in the final.
Wow.
So we was a real good gym, the Ring. We was only here for a couple of years. But we had a lot of champions in them 2 or 3 years. Wow. I was always training like a pro, to be honest. I was some days twice a day as an amateur, especially when I was a youth. I was doing a lot of running. So, and that was what used to get me through the fights, the fitness.
And what motivated you back then? Did you always have the dream of being a pro?
Yeah, I always had the dream. Obviously, it was a family thing. At the time, we had Charles, me, my cousin Levi. We was all good fighters, and we was all together. So it was sort of like we'd all push each other in the gym, you know. Mm-hmm. So it was good times.
And how are they doing now?
Levi, he was a pro. He had 3, I think. He won them all. Good pro. He's just packed up though. It is what it is, you know. I think Charles is 8-0. I think he's going to box again. It's a hard sport, and if you're not 100%, it's very, very hard. But I wish I could both keep fighting because we'd all be going through the ranks together. But it is what it is. Yeah,
and you say so you're related to quite a few people, right, in traveller community. Is that right?
Yeah. My Uncle John was British light heavyweight champion back in the 70s. Beat Chris Finnegan, who was an Olympic gold medalist. So it's all started from there, to be honest. And my dad was a good fighter. My Uncle Bobby was a very, very good fighter. My Uncle Tommy was a pro. They're all like my dad's brothers, so it was always going to be boxing for me.
What was it like growing up in that boxing family?
I was going to boxing shows every week because I had other cousins who was fighting, and they was always in the junior ABA finals, or I'd always go to all the big finals. So it was always like, as a youngster, I just wanted to win titles as an amateur and then turn professional. It was always going to be that for me.
Yeah, well,
Love boxing.
being around it every single week,
yeah.
Have you gotten sick of it yet, or have you still got that bug?
Still got the buzz. Listen, the other day I was sort of stuck in the mud. I've been training with Wayne Batten for 3 or 4 years now. Great coach, great guy. Get on with him like he's one of my best mates, Wayne. But it was sort of at that stage where I think I had to move. It was sort of, I was stuck in the mud and I was getting down and sort of not losing the love, but sort of losing the buzz for it. And then joining Rogers just relighted the fire, you know. It's like I'm learning again, and like sometimes you can only go so far with someone and you sort of like, you know what I mean? It's like you're stuck in the mud. So I just think I needed that change, and it's just brung the buzz back out of me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, some of the best fighters are constantly travelling, going to different gyms. It doesn't always come to you. So
of course. You have to get out there and see different things. Like even going to America or you see different styles, you learn different things, and it's important to keep travelling in boxing, keep learning.
Definitely. And the style of George Davey that you had last week, I'm guessing you've boxed so many of those in the past that you already knew the game plan going in, what you had to do.
Well, like I said earlier, the game plan went completely out the window. He was an awkward fighter. He was good. He was very, very good head movement. So the plan with George Davey was to go out, feint in front of him, let him throw first and counter him. But it was just too sharp. He was too good of a head movement. So it sort of had to change, and I had to make it into a rough and tough dogfight. So sometimes things change and you have to adapt. I suppose that's being a good fighter.
Yeah, definitely.
So is what it is. That's how I had to get the win. So that's what happened.
Yeah. So you do S&C with Jordan.
Yep, Jordan. Yeah.
How long have you been doing that for?
I started with Jordan I fought in the yard and Baterbev. When was that?
Was that January?
End of January. I started with him after that, mid-February. So a good few months now. Seen some improvements quite quick. He said it was going to take a while, which it does. But I saw some improvements quite quickly, and I can't thank Jordan enough. He's done a lot for me. He's a great coach.
Yeah. I hear from everyone that trains with Jordan.
He's a good coach. The only thing, he's in Maidstone, I'm in Reading, so it's an hour and 40 there, twice a week. But you have to do those things to improve.
That is some commitment. That travel.
It is, but he's a nice fella, and I think the things he does works. So you know what I mean. I'm just gonna stick with it for a long while and just see where we get.
How did you find all the technique, all the Olympic weightlifting and that? Was it quite easy to pick up?
I still haven't picked up most of it. I've sort of near enough mastered one of them, but I'm going to go back to Jordan next week and start a few more. But the things he does, it works. So I'm not going to give too much away.
Yeah,
but
of course.
It's good training.
He was quite cryptic. He was the first episode that I had on air.
Yep.
And obviously you're not going to give it away to a lot of people, but. From what I do know about what he's doing with everyone, you're explosive.
It's good.
You can last for 10, 12 rounds easily. Yeah. Like the conditioning, by the sounds of it.
The circuit he put you through is sickening. So it's good. Very good.
And would you say, has it affected the boxing training at all? Have you gone fatigued to other sessions, or is he really good at tying it in?
He's good at timing it, you know what I mean? So like if I got sparring on a Wednesday or like a Friday, well, I train with him Tuesdays and Thursdays, so he'll say like, we'll do a hard one this day, and then we'll do an easiest one. You know what I mean? He balances it well, so
that's good.
He's a good coach.
And what about your nutrition?
Nutrition is done by Paul O'Neill, real good nutritionist. We get on well, and everything he does is perfect. He's spot on. To be honest, in boxing, you can sort of overcomplicate it, and I think once you've done a few camps, you sort of know what to eat and what not to eat. But he's good at making weight. He's good at what he does, Paul. So he's another good addition to the team. Do
you cut a lot on fight week, or do you walk around the weight quite comfortably?
I walk around a little bit over, probably like more than what I should sometimes, because I do love my food. But I do it quite easily. I do the weight quite easily, yeah. Like this fight, I had to get down to 70, it was 69.8, so championship limit, and I've done it quite comfortable. So.
And what was the celebrations like straight after?
What did I have that night?
Domino's?
No. I never got back to 3 a.m, so the only option was McDonald's. So I had a triple cheeseburger, chips and nuggets.
Nice.
So that was good. Usually it's the Five Guys, but they was closed that night. So I've been eating.
Did you stay in London that night?
I come home. I come home. Yeah, I come home that night. Usually I do stay up there, but I needed to get back home. We was home for 3:00 at a McDonald's. What else have I had since? I've enjoyed myself this last week, to be honest. I don't drink. I don't really go out a lot. I do love a pint of Guinness. One was probably enough for me because I'm gone after one. So we went to Dublin. I went and watched a concert over there. Me and my brother, my girlfriend, his wife. We had a real good time, and I did have a couple of pints of Guinness, which was nice to let your hair down. So, but I think I deserve it. It was a long camp. It ended up being 11-week training.
Oh wow!
Where it was supposed to be, when was it supposed to be? September, and then it got called off till the end, like October. So,
why was it called off?
The show got cancelled.
Oh.
I don't know why. Probably, I don't know, to be honest. So I ended up having a week off and then getting back to training. So it ended up being 11 weeks training. So it was a lot, you know, especially for an 8-round fight.
Yeah.
So I just need a good rest.
Did it help you with weight? Where you had the extra bit of time? Was that?
My weight was all good. It was on track anyway. So having a week off, I needed that little bit of a reset, and then we got straight back into it. So it worked out perfect in the end, and it was a bit longer with my trainer. So that was the main thing.
And did you gel with him straight away?
Yeah. He's got it's a bit of a. He spent a lot of time with Manuel Stewart, like I said earlier, and Adam Booth. So it's sort of like a slippery Kronk style, you know what I mean? So it's hard to get used to it, but I think I'm just getting it. Another few weeks getting back in the gym with him, I should be okay.
Brilliant. And back to the amateurs. So you've won quite a bit as an amateur. You've been to a lot of finals and things. What was your hardest fight, and what would you say is your best win?
My hardest fight to date as an amateur was probably, but there's a reason behind it, but it was a very hard fight. It was Owen Cooper. He's a professional now. I think he's Midlands champion. Good fighter. I met him in the NABC's quarterfinals. He was in Birmingham. He was from Birmingham. And it was a real hard fight, toe to toe. He's a proper come forward, short fighter. So he had to get on the inside. And it was a real good fight. I won it on a split decision. But what I didn't know at that time was I had glandular fever.
Oh, wow.
So I fought with glandular fever. That's probably why it was a little bit harder. But he was not taking nothing away from me. He was a good fighter. But that's the first thing that comes to mind, that fight. It was a real hard fight.
Wow.
I got through it. I won it. I ended up getting beat the next week to a guy that I've already beat before in a national final. Shouldn't have boxed. I was 2.5 kilos underweight with the glandular fever. Shouldn't have boxed. But me being me, I'm a fighting man, and I thought, I've beat him before. I'll get in there and wipe the floor with him. Got in there, and he nearly knocked me out with the first punch, where I was that weak and not a blade of energy in me. He nearly knocked me out with the first punch. Anyway, I come back into it, survived the 3 rounds. He done me. But it was a big learning curve. I shouldn't have boxed. Mm-hmm. So, but going back to it, that was the hardest fight, Owen Cooper.
Yeah.
And then the best win I ever had was Mark Dickinson. It was just, he beat me in the youth ABA final. And then obviously we had the Three Nations a few weeks later. And Dickinson was a good amateur, but he's a good professional, but he had that amateur style. He was like very picky, he'd pick you off. And I remember going into the Three Nations camp up in Sheffield, and I sparred him. We had to spar each other. So I thought, I'm going to try different styles with you and see how I get on. And the first round I didn't do too good. Second round it was a little bit better. And the third round I'd done what he'd done to me back. It was like picking, you know what I mean? He used to throw his hands out, and he was an awkward fighter. And I thought, I'm going to try what you do to me. And it worked. And it was from that round, I went back and I said to my dad and I said to all my family, I'm going to beat him. If I meet him in the Three Nations, I'm going to beat him. I know how to beat him. Anyway, we both got through to the final. England versus England, youth Three Nations final. If you are still to this day, there was a lot of good fighters there that day. Dennis McCann, Hopi Price, there was a lot of good fighters. Charles, Kara Tuma, everyone was there. Still to this day, this fight, everyone talks about it. It stood out from everyone. We stood and went toe to toe for 3 rounds. I still think I won every round. I had a point took off me in the last, so it made it a split decision. But I beat him quite comfortably. And to this day, it was probably one of the best wins I had as an amateur.
Is that on YouTube?
I don't think it's on YouTube, no. I have got footage of it, I think, somewhere on Facebook. Someone streamed it live.
Yeah, send it over.
But from then, he went on to, it was the Commonwealths. He went on and won gold in the Commonwealths. He won gold in the Europeans. So he was a good fighter, Mark. Very good fighter. And I know he's professional now, and he's definitely going to win some titles as a professional.
Yeah,
Good fighter.
I've seen him for a few years online, and yeah, he looks very,
Yeah,
very.
he's a good fighter.
Yeah.
Very good fighter. So that was probably the best winner as an amateur. I beat a lot of champions as an amateur, but he was the standout.
What would you say is your biggest strengths in boxing?
My heart. I've got a big heart, but sometimes I don't. That's not enough. You have to be smart and clever. I can box. I can go forward, as you seen the other day. I've got a lot of attributes. It's just working on them now and making them all tick. So it's down to me and Roger to put in the work and try and improve.
Do you watch any of the 154 pounders like in your division? Like I think Tim Tszyu.
Tim Tszyu, he won yesterday, was it?
Mendoza. I think it was this morning for us, but yeah.
He's real good fighter. I think they're on about fighting Kelly next, which is an interesting fight for the WBO title. I don't know who I'd pick there. Probably, listen, I'd have to favour Kelly because he's a nice fellow. He's an Englishman, but that's a real good fight.
Yeah.
If it happens.
Well, when I was out in Oz, they all talked badly about Tim, saying, "Oh, you never leave Australia. You haven't done this, haven't done that." Which I get, but then how many American world champions are there that have never left America?
Never left America. It's true. He's a good fighter, though, Tim. I'd probably rate him the best in the division at the minute.
And can you see yourself fighting those in like the next 5 years?
Listen, I'd love to. You give me a few million quid now, I'll fight him now. But it's quite a way at the minute. But you have to have them ambitions, and of course, I'd love to be fighting with them fighters. Definitely.
Brilliant. And in terms of the domestic scene, I know you're saying you don't care what title you get, but do you want to go through the standard setup of like Southern Area, English champion, British, Commonwealth? Do you want to do the every single stage?
It would be nice to do that, yeah. But whatever comes first to us, and I've always been quite vocal on the British title. I'd love to win the British title because of the history I had with my family. And I think it's still one of the best titles you can win today in boxing. It's a brilliant belt. So that would be important for me to win.
Would you defend it as well to keep it? Or
we'll see. We'll have to see. I'll have to get it first. So that's going to be the hard part, getting it. So we'll see. If it comes our way, it comes our way.
Yeah.
So, but at the minute next, I would like to fight for a title, yeah.
So you're only 24, right?
24, yeah.
Yeah, so you're still very young. Yeah. That's brilliant. So I guess obviously gel with the coach, see what's next, and fingers crossed title start coming in.
Hopefully, yeah, be nice. Listen, an international title would be lovely. Any title is good, you know. Southern Area, English, International, Commonwealth, any title is good. So we're going to have a talk to the team and see what we can get.
And what sparring do you usually get for, like even George Davey fight? You said you had the English champion there. Who were they?
No, you got me. I sparred the new Southern Area champion. He was at... I don't even know the names.
Don't know the names, fair enough.
Don't even know the names. But I know he just won the Southern Area. He was a good fighter. Well, I sparred him a couple of times. Fella out of our gym, Obi. He's a good fighter. He's an English champion, I believe. He's a good fighter. Who else did I spar for that fight? There's a few others, but it was good level. And I believe you have to have good sparring, you know.
Definitely.
You have to have good sparring to learn and improve, and you have to be sparring them sort of fighters. Like the last camp, I sparred the new British champion. It's on the tip of my tongue, but he was a very good fighter. He beat Mason Cartwright the other day. Samuel Antwi.
Yes.
Samuel, he was a good fighter, very good fighter.
Yeah, he had that crazy knockout, didn't he?
Yeah, slippery, slick fighter, good fighter. So people like that, they only bring you on, you know.
Yeah.
So it was good. It's good learning for me.
Have you ever been called to other camps for sparring?
Not yet. No. Probably I haven't shown enough attributes for that yet, but I'm sure I will be in within the distant future, definitely.
And in terms of support, you say, have you got sponsors that are long term, or is it fight to fight?
I've got some good sponsors. My Life at the minute, which is backed by Ollie. He's a very, very good sponsor, good power of mine. Terrace Colt. I'm going to name them all.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
Don't,
get them out.
I have got some good sponsors. Geezer's a good sponsor of mine. They've been with me from the start. Leon at Geezer's, like, he sorts all my gear out, all my equipment, everything I need. Like, he's been there from, I think it was my second fight. You know, he called me up. He said, "I want to sponsor you. I want to do some things with you." So I can't thank them enough. Kenny at Geezer's, Leon, they're all good fellas.
Geezer's are huge.
Geezer's are
first thing I ever bought in boxing, I went on the Geezer's website. Yeah,
that's what I mean. So I can't thank them enough for the support. I've got Terrace Colt, I think I got them on today. I think Terrace Colt. They're a big sponsor. They jumped on from the start. Urban, Urban who do like the Defenders. They do the Defenders up. They're like a car parts. Urban. There was a sponsor of mine. They're good sponsors. Up Scaffolding, Gold Scaffolding, Well Hydrate. They're sponsors of mine for quite a while. Mass Media. I don't know if you've seen lately on my Instagram the posters.
I don't think I have.
As you go into like Reading, they've got some on the M25. They've got some Wembley. They've got some on the A13. They've got some everywhere, like the electronic screens.
Yeah.
So they put me all over England. So that's real good sponsor to have.
Yeah.
Pilkington Estates. He was down in Plymouth. He's been on for a while. So I've got some good sponsors. Hardtops UK. They're a good sponsor. So without all of them, I wouldn't be able to do it. You know. So I'm thankful to have some good sponsors on board.
Definitely, yeah. Exactly like what you said. Without them, you wouldn't be able to box.
I couldn't do it, and you couldn't do it, because I'm not fighting for thousands and thousands of pounds at the minute. So it's very hard to get on, and I'm thankful I don't work. So I can focus purely on boxing.
Yeah.
So I can train twice a day and do everything I need to do without working as well, which I know some fighters do have to do that, and it's a very hard game. Very hard.
Well, there's people at British level that are still paycheck to paycheck and relying, so...
It's very hard. It's hard enough training in itself, let alone going to work as well, so I'm very thankful to all my sponsors.
Brilliant. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. Is there anyone else you want to say thank you to, or...?
Listen, I could go on all day. My mum, my dad, they do a lot for me. My brother, sister, they all do a lot for me. They all do a part. It's a family thing, boxing. You don't think it, but it takes over your full family, because even like my girlfriend, she goes without seeing me for 5 or 6 weeks at a time. My mum's doing all my cooking, all my ironing, all my washing. She does all like my nutrition, like the food bit for me. My dad drives me to the gym. So my brother does all like my tickets. He sorts all my sponsors out. He technically is my manager. So like without these people, you couldn't do it, because it's very hard. So I'm very blessed that I get to just focus on boxing, and that's it. You know what I mean? I don't have to think about anything else. It's all done for me. So it's real good. It's a family thing. It's a team thing. And without my team, I wouldn't be nothing.
Yeah, even though it's a lonely sport, you do need a team.
You need the people around you. You need good people around you who look after you. And I'm blessed that my family do look after me.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me on.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.